It's Breeders' Cup Friday 2021 at Del Mar, ladies and gentlemen. And on this episode, I will cover the Grade 1 $1 million Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf at a flat mile. And the Grade 1 $2 million Breeders' Cup Juvenile at a mile and a 16th on the main track. Some weird things going on with the daily racing form for Friday. Well, at least in the Del Mar Breeders' Cup section. Did you all see it between races 5 and 6? If this was still Halloween weekend, I would certainly lay the blame at the witch's door. But nevertheless, as far as this form is concerned for these particular races I am going to cover at Del Mar for Friday, everything is just fine. So let's get to it coming up on Thoroughbred Ticket next.
Welcome to Thoroughbred Ticket, into the world of thoroughbred horse racing, into a world of inside information and handicapping style geared towards making a winning day at the races worldly possible. And now, here's your host of Thoroughbred Ticket, Mr. Kenneth Anthony Moultrie.
Ladies and gentlemen, racing fans, thoroughbred racing fans, Breeders' Cup fans, big day racing fans, welcome to Thoroughbred Ticket here on this Breeders' Cup weekend, particularly Friday, November the 5th, 2021 at Del Mar, and I am your fearless host, self-proclaimed expert handicapper, Mr. Kenneth Anthony Moultrie. Thank you for joining me here on Thoroughbred Ticket. Just a quick little side note before I get into the two races I'm going to cover on this particular episode. I went to the very first Breeders' Cup in 1984 live at Hollywood Park. I remember the program. I remember the horses running on the program, the race. I remember pretty much, I think it was 7 races that particular day. They were, it was a phenomenon, it was an anomaly, every race was worth at least $1 million. And, just the cost to get in Hollywood Park. I know it was 1984, a long time ago, but, a lot of things have changed and it's become really commercial, really more so with an international audience, an international flavor, and that's all good. But this is going to be one of the few times, or actually the very first time, that the Breeders' Cup has been held in the state of California that I am not attending. So it's still not out, it's still not etched in stone. I'm probably 90% not going, but it's a little different for me. Wherever I'm going to watch and wager on the Breeders' Cup, that I'm going to probably be doing it not on site as I was at Hollywood Park, at Santa Anita, or Del Mar. So, having said that, I'm here to really just cover a couple of races here. I'm going to try to get through most of the card. I'm going to split my episodes into 2 races per episode so I don't overwhelm you all. And, so it's just, something you can just put your teeth into. And then tomorrow, what I'll do when I get the scratches, I'll do my typical late pick 5, middle pick 5, maybe a pick 4 in there. Like I said, once I get all the scratches and changes. But right now, I'm just going to go over pretty much every horse in the race of these 2 races and just kind of give analysis of my thoughts and feelings on how I think the race tomorrow is going to shape out. So looking at tomorrow's forecast for Del Mar, it's looking like 67, 68 degrees for the high, mostly sunny. The low is about 54 or 55, which will not take effect until later that maybe early that evening. Now, Saturday, I think the day is going to be longer, so the fans might feel the effect of some cool weather at Del Mar on that ocean in November with some probably, I would say, low 50s tomorrow, or I should say on Saturday. But, we're looking at, still fast and firm, even in the, even in November in the Bing Crosby meet, you're still going to get 95% fast and firm, and that's what we'll have tomorrow at Del Mar. So the two races I'm covering are races 8 and 9. Let's start with the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, and $1 million for Fillies 2-year-olds. Now, 14 so far are signed up. And like I said, tomorrow when I do my Pick 5, Pick 4 show, I'm quite sure there's going to be some scratches. A horse is going to wake up with a fever or colic or something like that. And some unexpected horse, or maybe not some unexpected horse, is going to be scratched. So as it is now, I'm just going to go over the field here, horses that I do like and runners that I don't like. So let's go ahead and start with the one Pizza Bianca. Now, this is a Christopher Clement horse, and Jose Ortiz is going to ride. Now, very interesting here, this filly has 2 starts. Now, Joel Rosario, Clement's main rider, as you know. Now, we all know that, Joel will ride other horses when Clement even has prominent horses in the race. And this filly here is a prominent runner. 5-1 on the morning line. Just come out of the Grade 1 Natalama at Woodbine, where he finished a fast closing second. So 1 win, broke the maiden, and a second in a Grade 1. The buyer at 85 is actually, as far as the U.S. runners are concerned, is the highest in this particular field. Now, that kind of alarms you, or it kind of makes you think, and you say, okay, now why isn't Joel Rosario on this particular horse? And then the first thing you do, ladies and gentlemen, if you have been in the game a long time, it's your decision whether you want to play the jockey's musical chair game. Now, this is very interesting because Joel Rosario ends up on the 9 Koala Princess. Now, Koala Princess is 2 for 2. She's a more than ready filly, and she aired at Kentucky Downs by 2 lengths and broke her maiden wire to wire at Monmouth. The 70 buyer at Monmouth at 5.5 sprinting was very, very modest. And the 82 at Kentucky Downs, a little better, but, still kind of modest. But these are 2-year-old fillies, and you're not going to get high numbers unless the times are absolutely blazing. Now, this was, obviously, Kentucky Downs has high purses when they even run in maiden races, and they're, allowance racing. And this was a $436,000 stake. It was the Ainsworth. So this filly made a lot of bank off this particular race. Now, like I say, the buyers are lower than the horse that Joel Rosario got off of, Pizza Bianca, for Clement. So that makes you think. Now, I would say that you have to use this horse. She has a great post position. She's going to be able to look at the action. Now, you look and you see her running lines kind of contradict each other, the 2 running lines. She goes wire to wire at Monmouth, and then she comes off the pace at Kentucky Downs. Now, conventional wisdom would say if you've seen any races at Kentucky Downs over the years, you probably don't want to be on the lead at that track. You kind of want to be somewhere where you can get a good, clean run on the outside and come from out of it. And that's what Koala Princess did last time. Went off, like I say, won by just over 2. And I think Joel liked the way she responded, passed a lot of horses in the stretch and won off easy. So even though the buyer numbers are lower than Koala or than Pizza Bianca, I think that Joel feels for sure that he made the right choice. So back to Pizza Bianca. I don't know why I'm thinking of Mike Piazza so much. Maybe because baseball just ended. But I'm looking at Pizza, and I want to think of Mike Piazza. I don't know why. But anyway, Clement, Jose Ortiz, not very much data to go on these two here, 23% from 13 mounts. So Clement's not using Jose Ortiz a lot, mainly because Jose has other choices. Now, I will say this. This may shock you when I hear this, but I think Jose Ortiz is one of the most underrated grass riders on the NYRA circuit in the country, what have you. His brother Iraq gets all the credit because, he writes a lot for Chad Brown and whatnot, and he's, he sneaks in other barns sometimes. But Jose Ortiz, I think maybe Clement went to Jose because he was probably the best available American grass rider out there since Joel took that other horse. So when I use this race in my exotics, be it the pick 4 or the pick 5 or the pick 3, whatever it's in, I am going to use the 1 Pizza Bianca and the 9 Koala Princess. I am going to use 2 other horses. I will get to them, but I just want to mention some other horses as I cover these particular races. Let's go to the 2, Cairo Memories. Now, this 2-year-old filly by Cairo Prince. Now, Kent Desormo, a revitalized Kent Desormo, that's good to see, is riding for, used to be his main man, Bob Hess. And if you all don't know Southern California racing, back in the 90s, Bob Hess and Kent Desormo, especially at Del Mar for some reason, they were dynamite. For over a decade, it was Desormo and it was Bob Hess Jr. And now that Kent has kind of maybe revitalized his career somewhat, he's not the Hall of Fame rider that he was, 25 years ago, but he's on horses now that you can kind of feel a little comfortable for, especially if they show form and he's got a good trainer under him, and the trainer and him has a good history like Hess and Desormo does. Now, this filly is 1-for-1 at Del Mar. Broke the maiden. The buyer was very, very low at 52. Like I said, these are 2-year-old fillies. And even though most of them are Kentucky bred, you still are going to get the low buyer because the race is not going to be fast, either, starting, middle, or end. So out of that race, she goes to Santa Anita in a $200,000 race to Surfer Girl, and she airs again. So she's 2 for 2. She's shown a liking for Del Mar. I'm not crazy about the Halloween work at Del Mar, where she worked a 104-2 on the turf, but it was very, very slow. Now, there was only 3 horses who worked that day, and Carol Memories was the last of those 3. I'm not worrying about the position. I'm worried about the time. I say this many times before. Trainers will scratch horses when they work slow. I've never seen a trainer scratch a horse because they work fast. So for those of you who think that fast works will take a lot out of a horse, I am not of that belief. But like I said, I'd rather see a nice crisp work than a slow, dull work. But Carol Memories is a runner that I am not going to use on my top in my pick 3s. I will not put her in my pick 4s or pick 5s. But there's a possibility, of a trifecta. I can put her in, or a superfecta. Hey, this is horse racing. Any horse can win, Like I say, she's 2 for 2. She's 1-for-1 at Del Mar. So, racing luck can happen. But I'm just saying that, you can't play them all. I'm not going to play them all. And I'm just endorsing the runners that I give to you, that I tell you that I'm going to endorse. But I'm mentioning Carol Memories because there is something to mention about, the accomplishments that she has. So if your pockets are that much deeper and you want to go 6 or 7 deep in a 13 or 14 horse field, then, by all means, if I was going to go that deep, then she would be one of them. But I'm probably only going to go 4 deep in this particular leg when it comes to the pick 4, the pick 5. So Carol Memories is not going to be one of them in as far as my horizontal wagers are concerned. So, like I said, Hess and Desormo, a good combination. Looks like they're trying to get back on track and bring back some of the good old memories of the 90s. The first Euro in this particular leg is the 3 Cachet. Louis Saez will take over. Obviously, first time in this country. Now, she exits the same race as the horse, the filly that I like as my top runner in here, Mise au Sen. Now, I'll get to Mise au Sen later. She's the 13, but they do exit the same race where the horse I like, Mise au Sen, was 7-1, and Cachet was 22-1. Now, Cachet actually beat home my top choice as far as the position is concerned, but that doesn't bother me. I just think long shots can run on and complete the trifecta and the superfecta at any given time. But, that was then, and tomorrow will be tomorrow. And Cachet, like I say, it would flatter actually if Mise au Sen runs good, then Cachet may run good as well. Usually I will use horses that came out of the same race, no matter what their odds was last time, especially if there's 3 or 4 of them in a particular race. I will gravitate toward that race, and I may, like in many cases, take all 4 runners from what I would identify as a productive race or the most productive race, and I would just roll with those 4 horses there. But in tomorrow, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to rest on the laurels that my top choice was the only horse in this particular race that is going to show the form that I know she can. I'm not going to use Cachet, but I did want to mention that she came out of the same race as my top choice. A runner I am going to use is the 4 Turner Loose. Now, this is one of 2 for trainer Brad Cox. Now, his main man, Florent Giroux, is on this one, and the 5 Bubble Rock, Irad Ortiz, is on that one. Now, looking at Turner Loose, Turner Loose is coming out some distance races, around 2 turns, where she was on or near the lead. Now, her stablemate, Bubble Rock, is coming out of some very, very fast sprints. A 107 in the Grade 3 Matron. I never knew that was a turf race anymore. I know there used to be a dirt race, a Grade 1 dirt race at Belmont back in the 70s and the 80s, but I guess that's a grass race now. But nevertheless, Bubble Rock is coming out of those 3 sprint races. So I think that this Bubble Rock, the more than ready filly, will be on the lead. Now, I think Turner Loose, the horse I like best out of the 2 Brad Cox runners, I think Turner Loose will be able to sit the trip, and I think that she will be able to kick past Bubble Rock turning for home. Now, Turner Loose is 2 for 3 lifetime, exiting the Grade 2 Jessamine, I guess that's what it's called, at Keeneland off of Good Track, where she was odds on and missed by just a neck. Now, she comes out of the race with the 14 California Angel, who won at odds of nearly 18-1. So going back where I think that Turner Loose is going to be able to get the trip, good post position, the 4-hole can sit behind her stablemate, and I think coming out of those distant races like Turner Loose is, I think she'll have more stamina turning for home. Now, I will not use Bubble Rock, but I am just looking at how I believe she is going to be able to set the pace and then set the table for Turner Loose. Okay. So let's go on to the number 6 horse, Hello You. This is a 2-year-old filly, Irish bred by Invincible Spirit. Johnny Velasquez is going to ride. Now, she's coming off a win at Newmarket back in September, the Grade 2 type. And her time form ratings are very, very good. Now, obviously, when you read the form and you look at the overseas forms and they give you these time form ratings, you try to imagine to yourself, are they comparable or are they the same as our buyer figures or as our speed ratings? Because a lot of times over there, and actually maybe 100% of the time, I don't even think they list their turf courses over there as firm. I think even if it is dry and the bottom is firm, I think it still goes down for some reason that's good. Because over the years, I cannot remember, if any, seeing a fat or firm turf course. So, hello, and a lot of times, buyer numbers or speed numbers are inflated if the track is listed other than fast. It would be inflated even more. So good time form numbers for Hello You. Johnny V, coming off a win last time in a grade 2. I'm not very up aboard with horses who've basically sapped the well dry, as I call it, before a big day, especially when they've won at decent odds. If they were bet the favorite, if they were much the best, and they just aired and they didn't have to waste a lot of energy, I can see them coming back. But I'm more apt to horses who are well bet, maybe even favorite, and then just didn't run their race because they just maybe used it as a prep, or they got blocked, or the connections say, look, let's try to win it, but if not, the Breeders' Cup is down the road, so let's save something in the tank. So at 7-1 last time, Hello You won by a length and a half, and I just think that might have been her best race, especially coming up against a couple of other runners I like in here. So I think that that's a pass for me on the vertical wagers. But, I know some people will like her. She has a good post position, and as far as the comments are concerned, she runs unlike typical Europeans, typical Irish breds. Looks like here she's close up to the lead, close up to the pace. So if she, breaks well, she may be somewhere around Turner Loose and Bubble Rock. So it may bode well for her, because she's going to have to be able to outkick, the horses to her outside coming home. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's a good proposition. I mean, wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, I can't play them all, and I won't play them all. But, Hello You is maybe something that you like. And like I said, hopefully I pointed out all the good points for this particular filly. One more thing about Hello You, she was in the same race at Goodwood in the Tote Prestige Stakes, the grade 3, where with the horse I like, Mise au Sense, where she was just pretty much a length behind her and was well bet, actually bet better than the horse I like. So, that's something that maybe, that, that can be looked upon to say, okay, she's ran which I think is the best horse in the race, but we will see. That's the 6 Hello You. So going on to the 7 consumer spinning. Now this is one of 2 for trainer Chad Brown. Here's another more than ready filly in this particular race. I think that is 3 of them in this race. And Flavian Pratt is riding for Chad Brown. Now, if you've been watching races over the summer, in the spring back at Keeneland, and it seems like Chad Brown has found his future rider. It seems like to me, because him and Flavian Pratt he's just been on fire. And looking at the data here, at basically 40% of 35 mounts, that was last year is showing. So I don't know what's going on here, but Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt has been an outstanding team. Of course, he's getting a lot of Chad Brown's, gold type runners, but still in all, for him to end up here on consumer spending, this filly is 2 for 3 lifetime. And this will be Flavian Roeder in her maiden or in her debut at Saratoga, ran second, and then Manny Franco took over and she won on a yielding course going away. So back to Flavian Pratt. Chad, of course, knows how to get him ready in big races on the grass. I would not be surprised. These are for Chad Brown lovers. Like I said, Chad and Flavian have been on fire. So that's a good. It may be a good segue for you to jump on the 7 consumer spending. The number 8 sale buy, Junior Alvarado for Leah Girardi. Um, Nothing really to, the numbers are very, very low. Her high buyer is 69. She has, she has 3 races on the grass. She tried to get on the grass in early September at Saratoga in the PG Johnson, but it was taken off the turf. So she does have 2 wins on the green stuff, both at high odds. One at 28-1 when she broke the maiden, and in the Grade 2 Miss Griot, she was 12-1. So I think it's a tall task for her today, this Kentucky-bred filly, and she shows her running style shows that she's up on the pace. I just do think that when it's time to push the button in the ass, she will get swallowed up by some of these better fillies in the race to her inside and her outside. So this is a pass for me, the 8 sell by. But, she does have some wins on the turf. So like I said, superfecta, trifecta, anything can run third or fourth. So, there's something that, they're in a Breeders' Cup race. I've seen Arkong and I've seen, those type of horses win and whatnot. So nothing's out of the question. We know that for sure. Now I'm going to go back to Koala Princess, the horse I talked about that Joe Rosario ends up on. 2 for 2, as I said. If you're going to play the jockey musical game, I think you have to use, you just have to use her, especially when Joel jumps on a horse that's not a Clement runner who figures and he got off of. It's one thing if he never rode the Clement horse and maybe the connections, the owners or whatever, they just going with the hot end, or they may think a rider fits this particular horse. But Rosario has rode the one in both starts, won one, and then finished second in a recent Grade 1 on North American soil. And he jumps off and goes to a horse with lower speed figures, but is 2 for 2. You got to use that horse. Even though you may not like her, I'm not saying, you're going to put an extra $100 on them, but just saying, you just, you don't want to be the one looking at your pick 5 ticket or your pick 4 ticket, and you thought about why did Joel get off the 1? And then he's sitting right here for you. So you just, whether you like him or not, you just got to use the 9. You just have to. I'm not going to talk about the 10 Helen's Well, the Irish bred runner here. And she is beaten favorite the last 2 times, but like I said, I think her numbers are very low, and she's going to have to wake up here to run with these fillies in this particular race. Number 11 is Hardy. This is Shad Brown's second runner, and Tyler Gaffney is going to ride. Now, this Empire Maker filly technically is 1 for 2, but she crossed the wire first at Belmont, and she veered in the stretch and knocked the runner off stride and was disqualified. So in the 2 turf races, which she's only run 2 times, she's finished. She crossed the wire first in both races. Comes back in a straight maiden and at Keeneland and wins going away at 30 cents on the dollar. So we know she can run on the grass. It's Chad Brown. It's Tyler Gaffney. And for those of you who think that when you see these particular angle, did the horse really win 2 times, or was she not going to win the first time anyway when she crossed over and cut off that particular horse in that debut at Belmont? So her buyer numbers are, kind of near, or I say near the top in this particular race, a 71 and a 73. I'm looking at both. One turf course was firm or listed firm, and the one at Keeneland was listed good. So, the post position I'm not worried about, because like I said, you're going to have some horses ahead. I think they're going to move some of these outside runners in. And, I think Hardy will make a nice little run. I don't see any reason why, this Empire Maker filly will be, left in the dust and you be scratching your head going like, what? She didn't run a step. She's going to run. She's going to make a run. I do believe it. But is it good enough? I don't know. And I'm not going to use her in this particular situation. So, but for those of you who like horses who've crossed the line first in all of their starts and they've never been beaten, this is the runner for you and filly for you in this particular case. Number 12, Malavap, the Irish bred, will be written by Ryan Moore. And for those of you who think that Ryan Moore is the best jockey in the world, I don't believe that. But for those of you who think that, like he's like the modern day Frankie Dettori, how Frankie Dettori used to come over here and people thought he was the best rider in the world. I still didn't believe that. Not when I grew up at Santa Anita. No way in the world. But anyway, Malavat is a very interesting sort here. She's 2 for 4 lifetime, never been out of the money, 1 second, 1 third. And she's coming out of some sprints here. So, and her particular comments, except for her debut or her second race when she was off slow, basically she's running near the lead. So it's really going to be funny as I'm trying to run the race in my head, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of like I'm seeing 6 or 7 horses kind of up in the front, and I'm seeing 4, 5, or 6 horses toward the back. So something's got to give. Some of those horses up in the front look like they're going to probably, do the Michael Jackson moonwalk. And then you're going to have the cavalry charge of horses coming home. And it's going to be very, very interesting. This is actually one of the most competitive races on the card, if not the whole weekend, as I look going forward. Now, all the drama is over, ladies and gentlemen. All the drama has come down to the 13 horse who I like best in the field, Mise en Scène. Oyson Murphy is going to ride. This lightly raced filly has only run 3 times. She was 2 for 2 out the gate. Very modest. I think she broke her maiden in an allowance race by 4 lengths, and then won that grade 3 race, which she was in the same race with the 6 Hello You, just won by a neck, and then was basically got in a little trouble, lacked room in that Bet 365 Fillies mile grade 1 at Newmarket last time out on October 8th. I think this is the best filly in the race. I don't think the well has been sapped dry. Now, let me rephrase what I just said. I don't know who's the best filly in the race. I think she'll be the best filly tomorrow in this particular race. I think she's coming up to this race just fine. Like I say, she's lightly raced. She's won races she needed to win to basically be considered. And that last race was just, I'm not saying she didn't try to win it, but just looking at it, I just think that she was just stopped cold in the stretch. She had a lot of run in her, and some kind of way she jogged across the wire, and she still only missed by 2 3/4 lengths. So like I said, I think wherever she decides to be, wherever Oyson Murphy decides to put her, I think that, it's going to be the right spot. It's going to be very, very troublesome for the rest of the field. So the 4 horses I'm using here in the pick 5 or pick 4, whatever it is the 1, Pizza Bianca, the 4, Turner Loose, the 9, Koala Princess or Koala Princess, and the 13, Mise en Scène. Now, there's one other horse in the field, the 14, California Angel. George Leonard is training. Rafael Bejarano is going to ride. This California Chrome filly is 2 for 3 lifetime. Just aired in the grade 2 at Keeneland. I'm not sure what that race is. Forgive me for that. I'm usually good at that kind of stuff, but a lot of stuff is abbreviated. So do I like, the post position I think is going to hurt this filly more than others because she does come from out of it. And while she should close some ground, I don't think that, by the time she closed significant ground, I think the other horses would be far gone. So, especially the 13 Mise All Sense. I don't think when it's time for them to both of those riders to press the button, I don't think that California Angel can hang. So, she's 8-1 on the morning line. So, some respect from the morning line maker. I think she'll be much longer than that. And like I said, coming on for the superfecta or trifecta is definitely something that's very, very possible. One more thing I want to say before I close this particular leg here is I do believe the 9 Koala Princess will go off favored, mainly because the 1 Pizza Bianca has the best buyer figures of the North American runners in this race, and Rosario chose to go here. That alone will make the 9 Koala Princess favorite. Check that out. Mark my word. Hold my reputation to it, but that's what I believe. Let's go on to race 9, the grade 1. Breeders' Cup Juvenile for $2 million purse is going a mile and a 16th on the main track. And so far, 12 are lined up. Now, the one Jack Christopher is pretty much all the rage here. Winning the Champagne 2 for 2, pretty much winning both his straight maiden debut at Saratoga by 8, and then the Champagne by 2. Got 102 buyer. That's a pretty big number for a 2-year-old. They went 136 for the flat mile at Belmont. The first quarter, 22, then 45, 109.4. I'm not seeing where that 102 came from, but for some type of reason, the figures add up to where Jack Christopher, that 102 buyer, it stands alone. So that alone would not only make this runner the favorite, but I think somewhere around 6-5, maybe even money based on that. That is what he is going to get, this son of Munnings here. 2 for 2, both written by Jose Ortiz, and does not have any Del Mar works. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I'm not going to use Jack Christopher in my horizontal wagers, my pick 3s, pick 4s, or pick 5, because I am leery of, I've been leery for a minute or two for East Coast runners coming to the West Coast, especially when they're coming off of 1-turn miles or 1-turn races and they're going to 2 turns on this really, really funny track that Del Mar is, especially the main track. Now, I know Good Magic came here from the East as a maiden, and Jose Ortiz rode and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and won this particular race. I was at Saratoga when Good Magic in the very, very first race on Traverse Day was the prohibitive favorite and lost coming out the gate in his debut. So I know all about Good Magic. But, every horse is different. Sometimes you can't, compare, 3-4 years ago and think this is going to happen the same way. There's 2 runners in here, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, that came out of the Champagne. And I'm not going to use either of them. The other one is Command Performance to 10. Now, Command Performance is coming in as a maiden, just like Good Magic did. And the 97 buyer that Good Command Performance received at odds of 12-1 and missing by nearly 3 lengths to Jack Christopher stands above every runner in the race out of their last start. Now, the 12 Corniche, I will get to later, has a 98 buyer in his debut at Del Mar, but that's something different. So to me, I'm looking at the Champagne and I'm going I think those buyer numbers in the Champagne are a little inflated. They don't scare me like they normally would. I'm going to lean more to the home team here. Horses that have won on the track, performed well on Del Mar in this particular race, and have worked well on this track. And so Jack Christopher, I know is going to be, or I believe is going to be somewhere around 6-5 even money. But that's an El Paso for me. I don't like the Champagne. There was only 6 runners in that race, and Jack Christopher does have the rail. Funny things happen to horses down on the rail, whether they're going 2 turns, whether they're going 1 turn, whether they're coming out of the chute. And I just don't think it's worth it when you have other runners in here with the home court advantage who have better post positions. And so Jack Christopher, I'm telling you right now, is a pass for me. The number 2, Jasper Great, is a Kentucky bred, by the way, by Arrogant. Travers winner, Travers record breaker, the late Arrogant, right? So, but, just ran one time in Japan and, won by the length of the stretch, by 10 lengths. Now, the rider coming over, obviously, I don't know either the rider. There's a new rider that's coming over. The first rider that won by 10 lengths is not riding this colt today. So, obviously, this probably, he's probably a comparable rider. It was at 1 mile in the 8th, and it was on the main track. The track was fast. The times are slow over there. It's going to be different, but it's very interesting. I'm glad to see that the connections here is giving this. It's a Kentucky bred, but I'm glad to see him is giving this horse who debuted in Japan a chance back in his native land. So that's the 2, Jasper Great. Let's see. Number 3, Oviatt Class, Keith Desormo, Kent Desormo. Broke the maiden at Del Mar. Does have a good 59-3 work at Del Mar. Numbers are not good. Came out of the race with the 12 Corniche, where he was bet at only odds of 6-1. This Bernardini colt, has some style to him. And he's a grandson of Tiz now. So there's some staying power there. The Tomlinson figure shows 360 for the distance that it is calculated that he can get, which is not bad. So Oviatt Class is a definitely possibility for some exotics on the horizontal end. A horse I do like here is the 4 Papa Cap. Now, Papa Cap won the Grade 2 Best Pal at Del Mar. And then on the day at the Del Mar Futurity, he had the rail and broke inward like so many horses do. And that pretty much cost him the race. He was well bet, ended up at odds of 9-2. But if I remember right, he opened up at, some crazy odds like 10-1. And for most of the race, he was like 3-1. So they jumped on the fact that he had just won a Grade 2 there. And, but the rail kind of messed him up. Joe Bravo has ridden him in his last 3 races. Joe Bravo rides back. I would have liked to see some Del Mar works here. But this Gunrunner colt, trained by Mark Casse, I think is back to a good post position. And I think this is a horse that's going to be near the wire when the race is over. One of the horses I am going to use is the 4 Papa Cap. The 5 Double Thunder, Todd Pletcher and Flavien Prat getting blinkers tomorrow. It's coming out of the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland, where he finished second. Won 3 races, broke the maiden at Monmouth, won the Bassford Manor at Churchill, the Grade 3, and then the Sapling, which used to be a Grade 3. Now it's just basically a high-priced stake race. Won that race and has made some good money for himself. Banked $348,000 this particular year, which is probably near the top, if not the top, in this particular race. Like I said, getting blinkers, somewhat of a late running type. I'm thinking Todd is thinking that he wants him a little more in the game earlier tomorrow, and that's why he's adding blinkers. So Double Thunder may be a factor somewhere. It's a super saver, a son of Kentucky Derby winner Super Saver, a great son as well. So Tappet is grandfather on the mother side. So that's probably where this colt is getting the gray from. So what do you say? Double Thunder, the 5 horse with Flavien Prat, possibility. We'll see. Let's see. Let's go on to another runner I like here, the 8 Barossa. Now, Bob Baffert, this is one of 2 for Bob Baffert, or 3, I should say, for Bob Baffert here. Now, this horse comes out of a maiden, broke the maiden after 2 starts. The first two starts at Del Mar in straight maiden affairs didn't fear anything, even though he was bet well. And this colt by Into Mischief, like I said, aired when he went to Santa Anita, just won by half a length. But the buyer at 87 is surprisingly high. I'm wondering if that's inflated too. Now, what scares me and what worries me is that the two races at Del Mar were dull. So that kind of worries me. But hopefully the race at Santa Anita where he got this 87 buyer may be something that catapults this colt forward, and maybe he can overcome those two dull Del Mar races. So this is a runner I am going to use. The number 9 Pinehurst is another Bob Baffert runner. Now this horse won the Del Mar Futurity this year, and was in the same race as one of the horses I like, Papa Cap. And now Pinehurst, this twirling candy coat, has some. I mean, really has some really blazing speed. I mean, he put down a 44 in a second quarter at Del Mar, which is absolutely flying. So now, obviously, had every right to slow down late. Ended up 7 furlongs and 123 in the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity. But like I say, only beat 5 runners home. Mike Smith rode this colt in his only 2 starts, and now Mikey goes to Corniche. So Johnny V takes over here. Only horse in the race who's 2 for 2 at Del Mar. So, based on that alone, that's a must use. I think Mikey thinks he's on the best horse. He very well might be, but, I got to use Pinehurst here just because, he has blazing speed. And if he gets to the lead with that history at Del Mar, then he should be very, very tough. Like I said, I'm going to skip through Command Performance to 10 because he came out the Champagne with the one Jack Christopher, and I do not like the Champagne in this particular race. That brings us to the outside horse, D12 Corniche, the third Baffert horse in here. Mike Smith ends up here. Broke the maiden at Del Mar with a 98 buyer. Now, that is a race that people are going to revert back to and see that, that 103 flat race where, he beat 9 runners home in a straight maiden by over 4 lengths and got a 98 buyer. Well, this is what the world is talking about for the Kentucky Derby next year. Now, I went to Santa Anita in the American Pharoah and went around 2 turns and kind of regressed as far as buyer numbers are concerned because there were probably only 7 horses in the race. Mikey got an easy lead. He didn't push the horse. He knew the Breeders' Cup is coming up. The plan is to run him here. So, like I said, you win the race and then you save some water in the well. So, I think that's what Mikey did. I think he could have went faster. I think that 85 buyer could have been somewhere around 94, 95, 96. And then, you would be looking at, somewhere at 2-1 on the morning line, maybe even with Jack Christopher at 9-5. So, that's how I see this particular race, ladies and gentlemen. That's how I see these 2 particular races here. I am going to try and get 2 more in today. And like I said, stay tuned tomorrow for the pick 5. I'm not sure if this is inside the pick 5, if it's the 3rd leg or the 4th leg or anything like that. But you do know the runners that I do like. You do know the runners I do like on top. I always say that even when I'm playing pick 4s and pick 5s, I always play doubles and pick 3s in between them because I am likely to cash a nice pick 3 or even a nice double, along the way if I miss the pick 4 and the pick 5. So I'm not just counting on the pick 5 in those particular races I do give out. So I want to thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of this. I hope I shed some light on some runners that you liked, maybe some runners that you did not like. Tell everybody about my particular podcast, my particular show called Thoroughbred Ticket. I try to do a show every big weekend, especially if the track is fast and the turf is firm. So once again, like I say, thank you for all your support. Thank you for listening, and join me again on Thoroughbred Ticket on another podcast. Take care.
This has been the exotic wager portion of Thoroughbred Ticket with your host, Kenneth Moultrie. Please tune in again next time, and especially share if this show gave you a pick 4, 5, or 6 that catapulted you to having a great day at the track.